Thank you so much for joining us. We'll make a start. My name is Simeon Oriko. I work as the Director of Community at the Mojaloop Foundation. The Mojaloop is an open source software for financial inclusion, and we'll go a little bit into some of that. But the focus of the Accelerator webinar today is to give you an overview of the Mojaloop Accelerator Program, what it is, how it might be relevant for you, and what its goals and objectives are. And I will also give you an outcome. I'll also give you an example of outcomes of this of previous Mojaloop Accelerator programs that we've run in the recent past. Now, this webinar is being recorded. Once the recording is available, we'll be happy to share it, the link to the recording to you all, so that if you wish, you can review any of the material that will be presented here, as well as the PowerPoint presentation that we have. We'll be sharing that as soon as the call ends as well, so that you're able to review all this information. So why don't we make a start? If at any time you have a question, feel free to type your question in the chat. As soon as I see it, I should be able to give you a response. Excellent. So let's talk about the Accelerator Program. What the Accelerator Program is, it envisions a whole network of system integrators that supports the deployment, customization, and the maintenance of Mojaloop. Now, Mojaloop Foundation, together with many of our partners and many other system integrators, are in the business of deploying instant and inclusive payment systems across Africa and beyond. We primarily work with central banks and anyone who's in the ecosystem of a national payment switch to deploy these. And at the heart of it, we propose to use Mojaloop as the open source software that powers instant and inclusive payment systems. Now, we work with system integrators. These are local technology companies similar to those that you represent on the call here today. And the Accelerator Program is meant to build many of these system integrators so that they can support the central banks or other Mojaloop adopters in deploying, customizing, and maintaining Mojaloop. We at the Mojaloop Foundation believe strongly in national sovereignty. What that means is, for example, where in a country where a Mojaloop system is deployed, we want the local technology companies and the local government and authorities to be able to fully operate and maintain their own payment systems, therefore making it easier to enhance the capabilities and to support the ecosystem around the instant inclusive payment system in that particular country. And we'll go through a couple of examples as we go along. Now, the Accelerator Program, the approach that we do is we combine an online training, a series of courses, which we'll go through here in a minute, and a practical business level experience. This gives you hands-on training. And we do this by creating a cohort. And this cohort is mostly made up of local system integrators or local technology companies. And in each company require about 3 people to go through the training. And these 3 people go through both the online training as well as the practical hands-on experience. On top of that, we also connect the participants of the Mojaloop Accelerator Program to work on tangible items in our Mojaloop product roadmap. We publish and update a roadmap at the end of every single month. That reflects the work that the community has been doing to build the Mojaloop open source software. And the Mojaloop product roadmap reflects the priorities of the market. We often listen to potential Mojaloop adopters and what they want, and we try and make sure that we deliver on their requests and prioritize those items in our product roadmap. And so participants of our Accelerator Program will be able to pick out items from the product roadmap and work with mentors and the wider Mojaloop open source community to develop these we call them workstreams, or in this case, these blocks. And these projects, the accelerator program participants will be able to present them at a Mojaloop convening and at other partner events. Now, what's the benefit of presenting the projects that accelerator program participants work on? Oftentimes, the makeup of our community meetings includes existing adopters or potential adopters who are always in the market for local technology companies and system integrators who are able to deliver on the needs that they have and the requirements that they have in maintaining, deploying, or customizing their Mojaloop instant and inclusive payment system. And so by putting our accelerator program participants in front of the adopters and the markets, we create an opportunity for the system integrators to showcase the skills and to showcase their depth of knowledge and the Mojaloop fluency to a relevant target market. Now, I want to break down the key activities. We already saw previously that it's based on two items, an online training and the practical business level experience. So let's start with the online training. The accelerator program utilizes a number of existing online training courses. We, however, optimize these training courses for a cohort that we create for the accelerator program. These, as you come and see, the Mojaloop Foundation offers a series of training of courses that are available on the Mojaloop training program. We will go through those in a minute. And we also work with another partner who I will name in a minute here to provide extra courses that help the local system integrator or the technology company to become Mojaloop fluent or fluent in instant and inclusive payment systems. Now, the team members from a particular system integrator will attend the training that is relevant to their specific roles and responsibilities. We try and cover at least 2 modules every single week throughout the training program. That way you're able to, and within the week, you have flexibility of when to take it, but we require the participants to at least complete 2 modules according to the schedule every 2 weeks. I will give you an example of a schedule that we follow for an upcoming accelerator program cohort. Now, as part of the training, our participants in the accelerator program have direct access to technical experts in various functional areas to supplement the training. So if you're working on a particular facet of a project, or if you want to understand something a bit more practically, we put you in touch with either Mojaloop staff members who have contributed or have built some of those modules of Mojaloop. We connect you with our community architects. These are leaders in our community who have depth of experience building and customizing the Mojaloop open source software in various capacities. And we also supplement that with mentors who are outside of our own community, who have a depth of knowledge in any respective of the areas that we provide training in, should you need that. So in addition to the online training courses that we have, there is a list, direct access to technical experts who would be able to provide further assistance. Now, we also plan to have bi-monthly open sessions hosted by the Mojaloop community experts. And these will be created to focus on addressing any questions that you may have during specific training courses. If at any particular point you're doing a module and maybe you need a bit more insight and depth, we can organize either bi-monthly or bi-weekly a meeting, a call with the relevant expert who would be able to provide any further knowledge in that area. Now, in terms of practical business level experience, we know for a fact that developers and teams often learn best through hands-on experience. And we know that by providing this empowers developers and it provides meaningful and impactful work for the participants of the accelerator program. So how we do this is each of the teams, as you come into the Mojaloop Accelerator program, as you make an application to participate in this program, we often ask you to take a look at our product roadmap. Our product roadmap is developed by the Product Council. The Product Council is made up of our community contributors, as well as existing adopters and potential adopters as well, where they receive market requirements and they prioritize them and they organize them in what I'll call for now blocks of work. Internally, we refer to those as work streams. Now, these we provide mentors. We ask you to pick a particular work stream that is relevant for you, that you feel is aligned with your own business experience, or the use cases you're working on internally in your own businesses. And we also provide mentors who are able to work with you on these projects as you go along, to refine them, to define their scope, and eventually we create an opportunity for you to present this completed work at the community convening and other partner events. Now, this particular training plus the practical business level experience takes about 3 months to complete. And I'll walk you through some of the timeline shortly here. Now, we have the Mojaloop training program courses. What you can see there, you can learn by following the link that's down there, mojaloop.io/Mojaloop-training-program. The Mojaloop training program courses are absolutely free. You can do them online, they're self-paced. At any point in time, whether within the bounds of the accelerator program or outside the bounds of the accelerator program, you're welcome to take these courses at any particular time. Within the boundary of the Mojaloop Accelerator Program, we focus on a specific number of courses from the Mojaloop training program. We focus on the courses Moja 101 to Moja 104 and DFSP 101 to DFSP 209. Now, we also have one new course that we call the Testing Toolkit module, which I'll talk about. So what do these courses teach? Now, the Moja 101 gives an introduction to Mojaloop. It basically gives you the basics of an understanding of the basics of an instant and inclusive payment system. In Moja 102, we begin to explore various aspects of the API, especially the fundamental aspects of interoperability between digital financial service providers. We talk about common functionalities, we cover basic use cases in Moja 102. In Moja 103, we now go through a technical deep dive of what Mojaloop is, look at the basic functionalities, we look at the Mojaloop transfer process, how money is moved from point A to point B. We explain a high-level architecture of the Mojaloop transfer process. We use a microservices components architecture, we describe that. And we go through an understanding of the different technologies that are used to develop Mojaloop. Now, Moja 104 gives an overview of security, how Mojaloop solves security issues in terms of confidentiality, integrity, and the security of the payment processing. So this gives you an overview of what that looks like at a very high level. From the Moja 101, the Moja 101 to 104 series, we switch to a series of courses that are targeted at digital financial service providers, DFSPs. And the two courses, the first one gives you an overview. It looks at Mojaloop, but from the perspective of a DFSP. And then it builds on that, the course builds on that to describe the operations, Mojaloop operations from a DFSP perspective. Then finally, we have the testing toolkits. Now, the testing toolkit, first and foremost, is a module within Mojaloop, and it allows you to explore the basic features and become familiar with the user interface of Mojaloop through the testing toolkit. Now, this course was specifically built to help you understand that module and how you can use it. It helps you become familiar with the various capabilities and functionalities of the testing toolkit in a variety of scenarios. So this is one of the courses that gives you a hands-on practical experience with Mojaloop. Now, separate from the Mojaloop training program, we have partnered with Digital Frontiers Institute, who provides a course known as Introduction to Instant and Inclusive Payments. Once more, it's a free course, and it is self-paced, and you can register at any time. And that is the first block of that you're seeing on your screen there. And it has about 5 modules, and the system integrators, the participants in the accelerator program, will be guided through these modules, and at the end of it, there is an exam that you can take. Now, separate from the introduction to instant and inclusive payments, Digital Frontiers Institute provides a number of other courses. Most of them are paid courses that you can take in whatever order. And we've listed them here just for your interest and in case you would consider in your own time going through those courses. You can find them on the website, iipscertification.org. And we do encourage you to explore these courses beyond the accelerator program. The courses include regulating and governing instant and inclusive payment systems, designing and deploying technology for instant and inclusive payment systems, launching and operating instant and inclusive payment systems, and so on and so forth. I want to share the 5 modules that will be part of the course Introduction and to Instant and Inclusive Payment Systems by Digital Frontiers Institute. The first module is Introduction to Payment Systems. It gives a basic foundation of knowledge if you're completely new to IIPSs and Instant and Inclusive Payment System and instant payments. It gives you that fundamental knowledge. The important concepts, the history and the context of instant and inclusive payment systems, some of the factors that impact implementation of these instant and inclusive payment systems, the challenges for implementing an IIPS, and some of the risks and benefits. We then proceed to the second module, which gives an introduction to inclusionary issues. We look at principles, global principles for financial inclusion. We look at SDGs. We look at an introduction to instant inclusive payment systems, as opposed to just, instant payment systems. Some are not inclusive, and this course goes to the nitty-gritties to explain the differences. We look at the role players in that context of an IIPS. We look at the foundational user requirements. And we also introduce the level 1 principles and the level 1 project, which are a set of principles that guides the development of financial inclusion for programs that are aimed to deepen financial inclusion. On the third module, they go through the design principles and the choices. We look at the scheme considerations. The scheme is basically the governance of an instant and inclusive payments system. We look at open loop systems and versus interoperability. We look at interconnected systems, we look at push payments and payments addressing, and we look at inter-settlement between inter-DFSP settlement as well as part of this module. In module 4, we talk about scalability, being able to scale your instant and inclusive platform. We talk about its importance, use cases, considerations, accepting merchants as well, and the value that merchant payments bring to scaling an IIPS. We consider even implementing a regional payment system and what that looks like. We consider issues such as cross-border payments, moving money from one country to another. The fifth and the last module in this particular course examines the challenges of implementing an IIPS. We look at the business models for digital financial service providers. We look at managing agent liquidity. We look at transaction irrecoverability and, what next and other issues in that regard. So these are some of the courses, some of the topics you can say that you will be able to come across as part of the training offered in the accelerator program. Now, what you can see here is what you can see here is a sample of an itinerary or a program for the training program part of the accelerator program. Every single week, we hope to cover at least one course, one module. The introduction to IIPS course is broken down into modules. The Mojaloop training program is its own set of courses. So every week we will have, in week 1, they'll cover Moja 101, the introduction to Mojaloop, together with module 1 of the IIPS course, which is the introduction to instant payments. In week 2, we'll look at the Mojaloop API, as well as the introduction to inclusionary issues. In week 3, we'll cover Mojaloop technical overview, as well as the design principles and the choices. Week 4, we look at Mojaloop security, as well as scaling an IPS platform. In week 5, we look at DFSP overview and the challenges to implementing an IIPS. In week 6, we go through the FSP operations, and in week 7, we do the testing toolkit. Now, every single week, we will set up office hours. In case you have any questions or you need clarification on any of the courses or any of the topics that you're going through that particular week, we'll set up office hours that anybody can sign up and you're able to get your clarification. Additionally, we will have cohort-wide, twice a month, call meetings just to go over any topics or any frequently asked questions. If we see the need, if that need arises, we'll arrange a call at least twice a month to cover those topics together with our Mojaloop mentors and community architects and experts. In week 6, this is when we begin, around week 6, this is when we begin to have conversations with our product director, Paul Macon, together with the product council, which meets every week on Tuesday at 11 a.m. UTC. And this is where you get to start identifying and refining the projects that you want to work on. You will notice that it comes just before the testing toolkit, when you will now have the skills to start deploying and using Mojaloop and working with Mojaloop on your own systems. And the project will now give you the opportunity to start to work with the community to make contributions and to build on and refine the projects that you will have. And the project phase will go on for another month. And once you've completed the projects, we will be able to schedule you to present those projects at a convening. But for the training phase of the accelerator program, this is what you can expect the week-by-week breakdown of the training will look like. Now, I've used the term system integrator heavily, and you might be wondering here if you're a system integrator. So I put this slide in just to help you wrap your head around if this program is for you. Now, we consider a system integrator to be any technology services company that focuses on customizations, implementation, integration, and maintenance of enterprise software for clients. In the context of the Mojaloop open source software, the primary client are financial institutions and central banks. These are often the players who pull together to create a national payments infrastructure, of which Mojaloop plays a significant role. We expect that these technology services companies, they offer implementation and integration services. They do this for both proprietary or open source platforms or products, or perhaps you offer your own bespoke products. We acknowledge many companies and many organizations also wear multiple hats. And so we welcome fintech companies and any technology companies that have a fintech product. We've also previously worked with innovation labs and innovation hubs. We've had some as part of our accelerator program in the past. We also collaborate and we welcome academic institutions to consider joining the accelerator program if it so aligns with their vision. So I hope this slide, I hope you can identify yourselves or the companies that you represent as part of a system integrator and as a participant of the Mojaloop Accelerator Program. So let's go into some depth. I've given you a quick overview. Let's go into some level of detail about who is considered an optimal system integrator. We believe that an optimal SI should be country-based and should have at least 2 years of experience in the host country or in other parts of the continent of Africa. We believe an optimal system integrator would have had previous experience with financial institutions such as banks, mobile money operators, or microfinance institutions. For every system integrator, for every company that we work with, we ask that they dedicate at least 3 personnel who will dedicate their time to complete the activities of the accelerator program. So if you're considering joining our upcoming cohort, please do consider dedicating at least 3 people from your organization to participate in the program. Now, in terms of technical expertise, of course, if they have experience working with open source software, people who understand the business value of Mojaloop open source of open source, that would be great. People who have experience working with TypeScript, Docker, Rancher, and other suitable IDEs. People with experience integrating payment APIs for any financial service providers, not Guinea, apologies for that. The ability to understand microservice architecture and to create and run services. The ability to manage the orchestration of a bundle of services that are needed to run our platform and apply different configurations. Since the optimal SI would understand basic financial software, basic terminology, such as reservation, commitment of funds, ledger settlements, scheme rules. But even if you do not have that, don't worry. The Mojaloop training program courses and the IIPS courses by Digital Frontiers Institute will cover those topics in some level of depth as well. Many technology companies in our continent understand software development life cycles. They understand basic fundamentals about code quality and security. Understand basics of APIs and integration, basics of cryptography, PKI mechanization. These are things that you will need for integration and onboarding of, for example, digital financial service providers like banks or fintechs onto a Mojaloop switch, for example. Any experience with DevOps and cloud platforms such as AWS, Microsoft Azure, Helm, Rancher, and so on and so forth. And would have engineers with good problem-solving capabilities. This is what would constitute the optimal system integrator for who can participate in the accelerator program. Now, if you don't meet these basics, I wouldn't worry too much because, as noted earlier, the Mojaloop training program courses and the courses provided by Digital Frontiers Institute will be able to help you get up to speed fairly quickly on all these items. Now, you probably have seen the announcement, but just in case you haven't, we are launching a virtual accelerator cohort starting next month in April 2025. This accelerator program will be fully virtual, meaning if you've got a decent internet connection and a laptop, you should be able to actively participate from start to the end of the program. Now, if you want to join the upcoming accelerator program, you can fill out an expression of interest form. There's the link. You can get it in the chat. And we will be sharing this slide deck with everybody after this presentation, so that you're able to click through the links and get a deep understanding of each of these items. Now, in the application form to participate in the upcoming Mojaloop Accelerator cohort, the virtual cohort, we will ask you to give us a brief summary describing your organization. We would like to get an understanding of why you want to join the accelerator program. We hope that you can give us the profiles of at least 3 people who will dedicate time to complete all the requirements of the accelerator program. And we also expect you to look through the product council, the list of work streams and the product roadmap to see where you can meaningfully contribute. All this information is linked in the form. So when you have some time, please go through it and fill it out. We currently have a deadline for next week, Friday. I believe that is the 4th of April for all applications. So if you're planning to join the accelerator cohort, please make sure you get your application in before next week, Friday, end of day. That is the 4th of April, 2025. What does graduation look like? In order to qualify for graduation through this program, at least 3 of the participants from your organization will need to have completed all the requirements of the training. That is the courses highlighted in the Mojaloop training program, as well as an introduction to instant and inclusive payments by the Digital Frontiers Institute. Secondly, you will need to have actively participated in the Mojaloop community by selecting and participating in existing Mojaloop product work streams. You'll be able to see a link to that in the application form, and you can choose whichever you want to participate in. And you will need to have presented a completed Mojaloop-enabled product. This is a demo at a scheduled Mojaloop community meetings. We usually have 3 community meetings a year. 2 of them are in person, 1 of them is virtual. We have one at the beginning of the year, 1 at the middle of the year, and a 3rd towards the end of the year. So in any one of those meetings, you will need to have presented to the wider community and to the ecosystem, Mojaloop ecosystem, a completed demo. We also expect that you will need to have contributed code to the community. Of course, you do this through the project that you've selected from the Mojaloop roadmap, the projects you're working on, and you need to have creating a product that aligns with the objectives of the selected work stream. So these 3 will qualify you to graduate as a system integrator through the accelerator program. So what are the benefits to participating system integrators? There are a couple. 1, you have the opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of Mojaloop from experienced practitioners. You also you have the opportunity to gain a deeper understanding of instant and inclusive and instant payment systems, of level 1 principles of digital public goods, of course, in the context of Mojaloop as well. We hope to provide an exposure to you to showcase your organizational skills to a community of payment system regulators, funders, and other technology companies, in the hopes that this would translate to meaningful paid opportunities for your organizations and the companies that you work with, and for the products that you offer. We, of course, aim to give increased capabilities to support in building and maintaining Mojaloop systems across the continent and beyond. Every waking minute, the Mojaloop Foundation staff and the wider community are working collaboratively together to advance financial inclusion by deploying Mojaloop systems across the continent. Of course, we need to have a strong network of system integrators based on the continent who can support adopters and governments and central banks in deploying, customizing, and maintaining this Mojaloop instant and inclusive payment system. Of course, a wider goal here is to make sure that you as an SI are Mojaloop fluent and we're able to communicate. Now, is there a question? Okay. If there's any question, please kindly put it in the chat, and I should be able to respond to it once I see it. What has been the impact of the Mojaloop Accelerator? Again, we continue to build and nurture an ecosystem of technology companies that are well-versed and Mojaloop fluent, and they support instant and inclusive payment systems across the continent. Our goal is to decrease the reliance on foreign technology expertise in the maintenance of payment systems, such as those powered by Mojaloop. We want to understand the resources that are required, both local and international, for deployment and maintenance during the design phase of instant payment systems using Mojaloop. Of course, a lot of this feeds into our product process, which eventually ends up in the roadmap and eventually ends up into building modules and features in the Mojaloop open source software. We include domestic payment technologists in the project design phase of Mojaloop deployments. So if we go into a country where Mojaloop is being deployed, we often get the question of who can help us design this project or the Mojaloop system. And we will usually turn to participants and graduates of Accelerator Program to say, this, and this organizations have been fully trained. They're active contributors in our community. They understand Mojaloop well enough and would be happy to support your journey in deploying an instant inclusive payment system. And of course, we've had many technology companies that have been able to contribute back to the Mojaloop community in contributing code, in participating in our product process, and in continuing to refine and improve the Mojaloop open source software. I want to give a case study, two case studies of accelerator programs that we've run in the past, and how we've had the success that we've had with those programs. A couple of years ago, we had the Rwanda accelerator program. This was targeted at system integrators in Rwanda. We had 3 system integrators. These are technology companies and 1 innovation lab. That is Wired In, Mvent, Orion Systems, and Scilab. The innovation lab in this case was Scilab. These 4 organizations received trainings. The IIPS training, we additionally had some training on them for Microsoft to deploy Mojaloop on Microsoft Azure, and the Mojaloop training program as well. These companies, in collaboration with Mojaloop mentors and the wider and community experts, they worked on specific projects within the Mojaloop product roadmap at the time. And we had 3 organizations showcasing their projects at a recent community meeting that we held in Rwanda. And one of these companies, that is Wired In, was able to graduate, and this was the first cohort, and they were selected to lead the implementation of the Rwanda National Digital Payment System implementation in Rwanda. So they're a local Rwanda company. They actively were contracted and participated in the deployment of the Rwanda National Digital Payment System, which is based on Mojaloop. They continue to be active contributors in the Mojaloop ecosystem. They lead many of our work streams as well. And they've even brought to us new requirements from their adopter, this case, the National Bank in Rwanda, which has resulted in a new module currently being developed and will be integrated in the Mojaloop open source software. The other case study that I'd like to share is one that we did in Zambia and Malawi. In both countries, we were able to come up with 6 system integrators. That is Imosys, based in Malawi, iJane, based in Zambia, Probase, based in Zambia, Net1, based in Malawi, Spark Systems, based in Malawi, and Microtech Cloud Solutions, also based in Malawi. These SIs, of course, received training, the ones that I've referenced, the same one that the participants of our coming cohort will go through, the IIPS training and the Mojaloop training program courses. Again, they collaborated with the Mojaloop mentors and experts in the community to work in work streams and develop projects. All 6 of these, all 6 system integrators made presentations and demoed the projects they built at a recent convening that we held in Nairobi in March of last year. Now, a huge win for this cohort is one of the graduates of this cohort, that is Aishane, that is based in Zambia. They're currently collaborating and working with established system integrators in our community to lead the implementation of the COMESA Digital Retail Payments Platform. In short, we call that DRPP. It is a Mojaloop-based deployment that is meant to facilitate trade between the Zambia-Malawi corridor. And again, this is another instance of a local deployment being supported by local system integrators. So that wraps up the webinar, the information session that we wanted to share with you this day on the Accelerator program. It is my hope that you do consider joining our upcoming cohort. We do plan on sharing the video of this call. We will share the call as well as this presentation so that you can take a look at it in depth. And if you still have any questions, please feel free to send me an email. That's my email address there. And I'd be happy to answer any questions or hop on a quick call to guide you through the Accelerator program. There is a question in the chat, I think from Olabode. It says, are product managers working on related national switch project or account mapper accepted for this Accelerator program? Or is it just for technically skilled individuals, that is engineers? Excellent question. Thank you so much for that question. Product managers are welcome to join this. Now, the project phase of this program will need people who have technical skills primarily. However, we do value the input of product managers, and product managers can also help shape the thinking around the projects that the Accelerator program participants will work on. So there is no restriction. In the past, we've had product managers participating in the Accelerator program, so we do invite them to be a part of this program. We've also had in the past researchers from academic institutions who do not have technical skills, who have been able to join us and have still been able to get value from the Accelerator program. So they're welcome as well. I hope that answered that question. Do we have any other questions? Yes, there's a question from Geoffrey Miner. It says, are SIs to be selected locked to country deployments going forward? What happens if your market doesn't have deployments? Is there a guarantee on return on investment for time spent on the program? Very, very good question. I will address the first question. Are system integrators locked to country deployments going forward? No, they are not. Any system integrator is able to support any deployments wherever they are. How deployments are gotten come up in a couple of different ways. Internally within the Mojaloop Foundation, we have the Mojaloop go-to-market team that often engages central banks and other players in the ecosystem to try and get Mojaloop deployments. Now, when they're convinced about Mojaloop deployments, these stakeholders often ask the question, who can we work with? Who can we rely on to help us deploy, maintain, and customize our Mojaloop switch? We usually point them to our website. On mojaloop.io, we have a service provider directory. Now, allow me to stop sharing my screen briefly, and I will reshare the Mojaloop service directory so that you're able to see concretely what I'm talking about. Yep, sharing my screen here. Now, what you can see on my screen is the Mojaloop website, mojaloop.io. There's lots of information here, which I believe you should be able to go through and get some more details. Now, in the top navigation under partners, we've got the service provider directory. Now, The service provider directory is a curated list of companies and organizations that provide tools or services, provide adopters with tools and services to build an inclusive and instant payment systems. You can see about 15 of them listed there, including some of the ones that have graduated from our accelerator program. Now, if you graduate from our accelerator program, we do invite you to apply to be listed on the service provider directory. And this way, it gives your organization visibility in to potential adopters if they're looking for people with skills. Now, I want to give an example of, I believe it is Ajane. Once you click through to a particular country, say you're looking for a particular organization, say you're looking for a company that's based in Lusaka, Zambia, that is Mojaloop fluent and can support you in your deployments as an adopter. You have all the details of the organization. They give you a business description, what the organization does. They give you a list of the services that they provide. As an adopter, they can see what work streams you participated in and a description of the work that you were able to do. They can see significant contributions. As you can see, Ajane have highlighted a lot of the work that they've done with COMESA. And that gives a sense of the experience the system integrator has. They give you details about deployments that they've been able to participate in and what specific enhancements they've done for any particular deployments. Integrations, any Mojaloop products that they offer, their payment technology experience, and any references. They tell you the number of employees who have taken particular Mojaloop courses. So anyone looking at this, assuming it's a central bank that's shopping around for technology companies that are Mojaloop fluent, will be able to get a sense from these various profiles who is Mojaloop fluent and who might be the best fit for their needs. And so we go out of our way to provide visibility through the service provider directory on organizations that we know have participated in our programs or we know have a very good idea of Mojaloop systems, how to build, how to support them, how to deploy them, customize them, and so on and so forth. And so this is first and foremost our primary way in which we spotlight and highlight organizations that have participated in organizations that can provide Mojaloop-based services to other to potential adopters. So there is another question, a follow-up. From the case studies, a few companies went through the accelerator program in each of the markets, yet only one was selected. How is selection done? Need to know so we can prime ourselves for success. No problem. Questions are good. You don't need to apologize for asking questions. The choice of accelerator of the companies that get to work on deployments is solely within the remit of the adopters. In most cases, central banks or government agencies that are looking to deploy Mojaloop. So in the past, we've seen that organizations that have some kind of relationship or are actively participating in the payments ecosystem in their countries and have visibility, we've seen that those tend to get interest from potential adopters. But the process and the decision-making is solely within the remit of the adopter deploying with an interest to deploy Mojaloop. The Mojaloop Foundation has no input on that. Secondly, some adopters also put out requests for proposals, RFPs that you can, or tenders that you can, as an organization that you can respond to. And we've had some of these technology companies write to us and say, hey, could you please give us a letter of endorsement or a letter stating that we're Mojaloop fluent so that we can include that as part of our tender documents. And so if you've made the investment and if there's a request for proposal, which we often put out to our community as well, whenever we see one, we usually share it far and wide within our community. We're more than happy to provide, provided that we understand your level of Mojaloop fluency, we're able to provide some support in order for you to respond to your RFP. Question 3, are you able to publish a roadmap pipeline of upcoming implementation so we can review and make decisions better? We do not have a public roadmap. However, during the convening, we have a session where we essentially go through upcoming and existing implementations, and that gives you an insight. Now, I do want to take this opportunity to invite you to join our upcoming convening, which is scheduled for April. I will put the link in the chat to all the details. Now, it is scheduled to take place in Accra. However, if you're not able to make it in Accra, that is April 14th to 19th, you're welcome to register virtually. We will be live streaming the whole event for free, absolutely. And so all the information, including the agenda, is published on that page, and you can go ahead and register. Most of the sessions, you will get an understanding of who is in the room in terms of adopters, what their needs are, because they will voice it. This happens time and time again. They will voice their concerns. They will ask for, we've had situations where potential adopters have just stood up in the room and asked for technology companies or system integrators that are able to help them with their deployments. There was a question from Guy Ntare. What if the organization wants to work on adoptions out of the scope of this accelerator? In my case, CBDCs or DLTs. That's useful because within the product council, you can have the conversation with our product manager to work on projects that may be outside the scope of the accelerator program. There is some room to have that discussion with the product council and product manager. However, it does need to be aligned as closely as possible with the product roadmap. I hope that answers that question, Guy. Geoffrey, fourth question. Does the accelerator program come with support funding to participate in companies? No. At this particular moment in time, the accelerator program does not provide any support or funding for participating organizations. Any other benefits that we can get different from what you've mentioned? I would encourage you, Nick, to go through the slide deck and maybe review this material. But we can, if you'd like, Nick, we can get on a call. If you just want to send me a quick email, we can get on a call and we can talk through any that you have in mind, or I'm happy to give you more details about some of the benefits that we've listed. Sadipa, how would a country or organization start working along Mojaloop as a user of the platform? Do they conduct a pilot? Very good question. Our go-to-market team usually would run we've got a program that is run by our go-to-market team that's called the proof of concept pilot program. So when we work with a country, we usually, at the cost of Mojaloop, do a pilot program where we deploy Mojaloop for them and we showcase to them the Mojaloop offering and just walk through them and just show them this is what happens when a transfer starts here. And by the time a transfer gets there, a payment starts from one point to the end point. And we often discuss with them use cases and we try to showcase to them what the Mojaloop offering is. Now, based off of that, many of those proof of concept programs have translated into deployments. Now, that is, I will stop at that because that is out of scope for this webinar. But should you need more details, Sadipa, on country engagement, I'm happy to connect you with our go-to-market team. And you can get on a call and they can give you a lot more details in addition to that. So Sadipa, please send me an email about that and I'll put you in touch with our go-to-market team. Excellent. So that's quite a bit, but I do want to thank you so much for your participation and lots of very, very good questions. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for joining this call. Once more, the virtual accelerator cohort that's starting next month, the applications close next week, Friday. Please do consider participating and getting involved and signing up. If you have any other questions, please feel free to send me an email. I'd be happy to get on a quick call or answer any questions that you may have. And we look forward to your participation and your engagement. Last question, Guy, how can one reach out to the Product Roadmap Council? The Product Council, The person you need to speak to is our director of product. Please send me an email. I'll be happy to introduce you to him. Excellent. Thank you so much, everybody. I will give you back 2 minutes of your time. Have a good rest of your day.